The 5 biggest mistakes hot yoga teachers make, yoga teachers of any style of yoga, especially beginning teachers. That is what we're going to talk about today. Hi everyone, if this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Jimmy Barkan. I've been practicing hot yoga since 1980, but I've been teaching teachers since the late 80s. Started my formal teacher training program in 2002. So hot yoga teachers, not hot yoga teachers, especially beginning teachers, I believe make 5 big mistakes. Mistake number 1, not practicing enough yoga. If you're lucky to be teaching a lot of times your practice takes a back seat. I believe your yogic practice is the heart and soul of your teaching, especially your yogic path or sadhana. When I first started, we were doing 3-4 classes a day. On a rare occasion, we would do 5, which was insane. I mean, even 4 is insane. 2 on Saturday would be like a day off. I believe, and I still believe that's in excess, but 1 good, strong yoga class a day, I believe for a yoga teacher should be minimum. Mistake number 2, you're caught in your own world, meaning you're practicing while you're teaching and you're in a tunnel or tunnel vision. You can't see and be peripheral what's going on with your students, which is going to bring us to mistake number 3. So even though, like in the Barkan method, we do a hot yoga class and we do a hot vinyasa class. If you're a vinyasa teacher, sometimes the practice, your own practice, helps the energy of the classroom, helps to lift up that energy, and it helps you connect to your words to your body. But at the same time, you still have to be peripheral. You got to look around and see what's happening with your students and make the necessary corrections and adjustments. And mistake number 2 can lead to mistake number 3, and that is not correcting your students, not making adjustments. You can have the most extraordinary instruction ever put together by a yoga teacher. Your words could just be poetic. If you're teaching, say, the standing bow, and we did a hot yoga tutorial on that pose recently, and you're supposed to hold the foot with your hand turning out and your hand's turning in, or your students are doing the wrong position, doesn't matter how wonderful your words sound, you're not helping them. So you've got to be peripheral. And my teacher training program course, our online course, and if you're interested, there's a link in the description below. We have a Facebook group, and I will periodically post a picture of someone doing a yoga pose, and then we take turns on making corrections. I call it, what's wrong with this picture? That's the exercise that we do all the time in my teacher training programs. You want to be able to make the corrections. That's how you're going to put your students on track. Mistake number 4, not connecting with your students. That student-teacher connection in yoga is a sacred connection, a sacred relationship. If you want to call your students out by name, they know that you're concerned with their practice. You probably know their body maybe better than they do because you have a different forest from the trees view that they don't have. And they know that you know when they're improving, when they're having breakthroughs, when maybe they're falling back. And you have that connection with that student. They don't get that anywhere. When they go to the post office, if they go to the dry cleaners, any other business in the world, they're not going to have that very sacred bond between the teacher and the student. So connect with your students and encourage them on their path. And when they know you're concerned, what a difference it's going to make. Bringing us to the last, best, worst mistake that yoga teachers make. Here's the drum roll. You're stuck in your own pattern of speech. 99.9% of my teacher trainees, when they come to my teacher training programs and they start teaching for the first time, and even more so as teachers begin, let's say they're teaching for 6-7 months, they create this, what I call a teacher voice or pattern of speech. Now, I did a whole video on 5 tips on helping teachers find their authentic voice, because that's what happens. You get stuck in a pattern of speech. You think you're supposed to sound a certain way, and the way you're giving an instruction to a group of maybe possibly strangers, and it becomes inauthentic. So what we have to do is break the pattern of speech, explain, and what I call the conversation voice. so that you're telling your students, you're explaining to your students what is it you want them to do. Instead of talking at them, you're talking to them, and they're going to hear it. Their heads will actually turn. You're going to say something like, turn your left hip back, because that left hip wants to come forward all the time. So if you pull it back, you're going to square your hips, and you can look in the front mirror and you can see that symmetry. Not what I'm saying, how I'm saying it. When you have that conversation voice, that's going to resonate with your students. And that is definitely one of the main things that we go over in the Barkan Method trainings. I coach and help you to find that conversation voice. Once again, you can see links down below in the description for our various training programs. So let's sum it up with the solutions. Mistake number 1, don't let your practice fall to the wayside. Let your practice fuel your passion for teaching. Number 2, don't be in that tunnel vision. If you're practicing while you're teaching, you got to be peripheral. Which brings us to number 3, make corrections, make adjustments if needed, so that you can put your students on track. I always say it's like the train on the track. You got to get those wheels just right for the train to take off. Number 4 is that personal connection, that bond, that sacred bond between you and your students. That connection is why we do it, why I do it. Number 5, break your pattern of speech. Can't be constantly talking in the same hypnotic tone. We got to break that pattern so that they will hear you and connect words from your heart. So that's our episode for today. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell, share it with your friends, ask me any questions. I get to all the comments, and I thank you for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video.